Mic did not charge yesterday, and it was also dying, so I'm going to say all of the logs that happened yesterday as if it was still yesterday. So here we go. In the morning, I was able to wake up. This time I had quite a good experience. I was able to grill my bacon food and make me some oatmeal with some bread, and it was a delightful experience. The only issue here is that cooking breakfast shifted my time from 7 a.m. to 7:40 a.m., so I left a little bit late. And just like today, right now, since I'm speaking this as if it's present tense, today is another morning, and I was not able to do this log yesterday. This will also shift my time, so I might leave school much later today. My mom was not mad at. Thankfully, today was cloudy, so I managed to get to school not feeling too hot. And as for the school, I was hesitant nonetheless, but after 15 minutes, I managed to make it to a group. But it was mostly a humorous, funny group, but they were mostly seniors and all. They did not respond back, but they were pretty funny and they had that gothic vibe. So I laughed here and there to their responses and answers, but I wanted to ask less basic questions and went toward a slighter question asking, would you rather eat healthy every night but you eat late, but it's always good food? Or would you rather eat early and be able to sleep on time, but the food isn't healthy? One said healthy food, but they didn't really budge too much here. The improvement here, as I could do, is be more attentive, but also watch for reciprocation. In Spanish, when we memorize 10 more verbs such as leer, and I also use the Italian versions of these verbs, we memorized it to our partners, but I was confused on one. We pronounced in class and practiced as the teacher made us memorize, and later we did the same exact thing with numbers. We had to say this, so the smart thing I did was distract the teacher temporarily and ask Western numbers have accents to delay until I could memorize these properly. She said accents are very difficult due to pronunciation phonetics, saying we should memorize only. She also mentioned numbers are written differently and spoke how to say them. I have trouble spelling it, but she mentioned a funny thing where she spelled all 100 words because the other class is doing it. She made us tell us that if anyone asks if we did anything with numbers, we did 100 words with it because apparently the other class is doing it and that like we don't want to get caught not doing it in terms of like the grading stuff. We were given a worksheet for it and I struggled much in the thousands place naming numbers in that setting, but I was able to customize answers saying like si dice or parlo al parlante, changing up the language a little bit to keep variety. But at the end, the teacher made us memorize some more basic verbs as quick practice, and she made a quick announcement at the end that there is a back to school night, but the class was mostly quiet, so she didn't say much either. So it will be a shorter day. Going to period two, I met my friend Davin and I told him to invite me to his party. He said yes, and he was pretty humorous. In class, the teacher came a little bit late, but we also overheard another ASB class announcement over the speakerphone, and it was pretty wild. It was a back to school night announcement. There was a senior sunrise and senior sunset announcement, along with some of it blasted over loud Nickelodeon music. And the funny thing is that I think one of them accidentally said, "Go animals, stay wild," instead of using the school's animal acronym. So the teacher was laughing a little bit. She announced today is also a common lit work assignment that apparently the district forces on classes on back to school days. This one was a pre-assessment. For 30 minutes, I did this, and it was a reading comprehension for common skills such as main idea or asking what this paragraph is doing. I did tell the girl near me if she was ready to do it, but I got annoyed having to open the door 500 times since I'm at an end table. But she said for me to be the door opener instead. I told her if she was excited, but she didn't really do much. And there was another one near me, and he said he was not excited. Moving to math, we were handed 10 minutes early on to do what we need to do and finish up the preliminary assignment 2 days ago. I decided to work on the ready, set, go, and I had trouble in naming where the number goes, such as the function of x is equal to x. If the function is 10, I remember I just plugged this into x because at the end that is simply just y equals x, like beyond the complex notation. Later, he continued after 10 minutes reviewing the homework. The answer yesterday for 8 pounds of food for $6 with a $5 flat rate in the literal math becomes y equals 0.75x plus 5. The teacher helped us lead it using points on the table 0, 5 to 8, 6. And we did the inverse of this problem on a table, switching all values around it, and told us how they're still the same. He also went sodas off topic and apparently said that root beer is a 7-Up Timu version, which I do not take offense to, but I'm not sure if you guys take. He tried to continue the conversation in coffee and said Americano coffee is the best out of a certain pick of coffee. I said I like Americano coffee too, but he didn't really do much. He then said which math problem example was better to answer one of the problems, and it was revealed that the in-person company where you buy it is more better than the other one where you have to purchase it online with a flat rate. So we did not answer this in function notation, but he says for retrieval we're going to use iPads if we're given it, that the teacher uses. So everyone's going to get it once in a while if it's passed to them by the teacher. What's funny is that today is Spirit Week, so the teacher just taped Animal Camel on his black shirt, but he still lost. But it was pretty funny though. But a hard example that I think our class had to struggle with was using the F A plus B, using the four-word box method. I was not able to solve this myself because I did struggle a little bit here. In period 4 English today, the teacher said she's going to hand our nature journey back and that it's for the whole year that we will. And she says to name these properly and keep them in a safe place. We have 2 papers to us in this journal book and we have to staple inside of. She says it is up to us on how we want to customize this journal from art to data to regular freestyle writing about our garden visits. She gave examples too and she said this is the most crucial part as it's personal and philosophical. We do not finish this just because the garden is finished. Like we have to keep going until a given 15 minutes of a garden visit is over. Like write anything down, anything. So that's why it makes it personal. She said for today's prompt is qualitative and mostly database and measurements. We also had to count the weather in almanac style. The garden visit, the teacher did the weather report that we had to write down in the journal and describe the small garden there is. We had 15 minutes to observe whatever. She held the chicken and she said she's such an ass. I observed that there are also flies as she was around, but there was a lot of plants and pots, and it's an ecosystem in the middle of a school. But the humor part, I mean, I did wrote leaves on my journal from the basil and mint ones to make it quote unquote authentic. It was funny because a lot of students tried to pick up a lot of the plants themselves to try to tape it on, but they did struggle. And touch the chickens too, but they did not do it because it just flew away. Talked to the people near me, they introduced themselves, and I asked two others how it was and what they observed, but they didn't really say much other than some basic answers. I think for lunch I did hesitate again, for a few seconds. I revisited a friend group of whom I visited from last year, of who I said the friend group broke off completely because people eventually broke off into their own groups. There's like 2 to 4 people that are left in there, but I'm just with a core two. I think this time I forgot that I was even pitching at all, so I hit quite a lot of my basic fastballs and maybe a few sliders, like in terms of the conversational pitches that I do. It was mostly great. I wanted to say at this point it's estimated, but I did all the basic stuff, curveball statements like why are you touching that? Since one of them was touching. A dead sky bug ant was trying to experiment with it. I do find it pretty interesting though because there aren't a lot of dead bugs around this school. I'm not sure about it. It was mostly fun as I drifted from other classes and they drifted to newer classes and how life has been for everybody. I talked about makeup. They talked about makeup. I offered something for them and maybe a few other things. And most importantly, return to the school. I'm not happy with that when I said that. But beyond that, I can't reveal other details as they are mostly private. But it was pretty fun talking to them. So credit to you guys. The weather was extremely hot today, so even as I was moving around, the weather was very, very humid. So I still didn't like being outside, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it here with my friends. Grade 5, I think I might have trouble because we have a table of contents as assignments are assigned, and we have to write assignments on that given table of contents online, and I know I might forget this. We learned about articles of King Philip's War and 3 different reporters of whom have different thinking, and we also have the information of resistances. I had trouble as this was all online work, but we had to write it down from many Google Slides. We read accounts from King Philip, and we debated to our class friends whether they are reliable or not. From Edward Randolph to John Easton to William Ape's speech, answering 3 questions all about it. I got distracted freestyling notes and talking to the friend near me that I forgot it was already 2:10 p.m. So that was pretty interesting. And later we had to answer another question later using the PICO acronym, but she said the rest of this stuff will continue tomorrow. And for period 6, I met Davin quickly, and I joked of bringing Napoleon to his party if he invites me. But he's a big guy on that Napoleon art and also drawing. I don't know why he doesn't get paid yet. He needs to get paid a lot of money for what his drawing is. What I say, guys, is that his drawing, I describe it like a mini artist who's still starting. Like, he draws better than me. Like, if he wants to draw Napoleon in like some sort of canvasy background and like some sunny background, he can do it easily. Even with that shading part too. So I don't know why he's not getting paid enough. If you guys see him, tell him I said hi. In engineering, we have another key project on drawing shapes first. We're making blueprints on a given shape, and on the printed paper, we must draw 3 squares that we must show itself as blueprints. For example, the first square that I draw on the printed paper shows a top view, then I have to connect our cubes coming down from the top view. If the middle one to the bottom ones, or the angled ones, we have to view them from the side or to the bottom. And that means I have to connect them from the side to the bottom. But that's a challenge because it does require a unique sense of spatial recognition and to follow that to the angled ones, but I still can't quite wrap my head around it because it is not easily understandable at first. Of course, everybody gets it eventually, but I still didn't get it at all. The funny thing is that most really did understand, and I know the teacher asked, "Who doesn't get it? Raise your hands." And Diesel said, "Me." And the class ended up laughing because he said it pretty humorously, but my brain was not clicking as I still don't understand it. But my friend told me that each cube has its own sense. He told me for me to think of the cube itself, think of the blueprint itself as one layer of the given entire uh, set of what we're building. If this layer is a first layer, if this is learning from the top, connect the cubes on the top first, and then if it's from the side, on the next square on the printed paper, go from the side and so forth. He said that tomorrow we're going to be doing a competition, and whoever can craft which cube is fastest would end up losing and have to rebuild everything. I know I'm going to have trouble with this, that's for sure.